The globalization of English is a vast topic and there are many ways to discuss it. One can talk about how English historically became a global language, it spread across globe, or the politics surrounding the globalization of any language. There are two books that would help us understand the globalization of English. The first is English as a Global Language by David Crystal, and the second is The English Languages by Tom McArthur. Weiner compares the English vocabulary to a political system, noting that it has become federated rather than centralized. This suggests that the English language is no longer governed by a single authority, such as received pronunciation or the Queen's English. Instead, English speakers across the world contribute to a shared vocabulary, with each speaker being, in some sense, multilingual within the context of English. This reflects a shift from older ideologies of a single standard English to a more inclusive, diverse understanding of what English can be. The globalization of English can be approached from various angles. David Crystal's work highlights the significance of the 1990s in the globalization of English. According to Crystal, several factors during this decade contributed to the rise of English as a global language. One key factor is the role of the internet, which has fostered new linguistic varieties, raised to new Englishes. The internet, often celebrated as a democratic medium, has allowed for the spread and evolution of English in diverse ways, with different global communities contributing to the development of English in their own contexts. Another important factor Chris identifies is the increasing endangerment of languages. As English becomes more dominant, many languages are at risk of extinction. The 1990s also saw the recognition of English's global position as the language became more widely used and acknowledged across the world. This period marked a shift in public recognition of English's status as a global language, and it led to the redrawing of socio-linguistic frameworks. Crystal points to these developments as evidence of the establishment of English of the global stage. While the spread of English offers many benefits, such as facilitating communication and fostering global connection, there are also significant risks associated with this dominance. One such risk is the loss of linguistic diversity. As English becomes the lingua franca in many parts of the world, other languages are being pushed to the margins. Scholars often compare linguistic diversity to ecological diversity, noting that the loss of a language is not mere loss of words or syntax, but also the loss of unique perspectives on the world. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, for example, suggests that the language we speak shapes our perception of reality. Thus, the loss of a language can be seen as the loss of a worldview. The dominance of English can lead to the homogenization of values and perceptions. When one language becomes global, it can narrow the ways in which people think, limiting cognitive diversity. The global spread of English is not just about language, it also involves the spread of cultural values, practices, and ways of life. This cultural saturation can have significant consequences for global diversity. The increasing endangerment of languages is another concern. As many languages are dying at an alarming rate, some studies show how languages are disappearing daily, which raises questions about the future of linguistic diversity. The dominance of English therefore carries with it deeper cultural and cognitive cost, which is often overlooked in discussions of its benefits. The spread of English is linked to the concentration of power. Those who speak English often have greater political, cultural, academic, and economic power. The spread of English, then, is not only a linguistic phenomenon but also a reflection of broader geopolitical dynamics. This aspect of the globalization of English calls for careful examination as it highlights the relationship between language, power, and inequality in a globalized world. The spread of English across the various regions and cultures has led to the development of what we now call Englishes. These are different versions of English spoken and written in countries like the United States, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, India, and Nigeria, each reflecting their own unique linguistic standards and influences. The idea of a single English is now outdated. Rather, we speak of standard Englishes, acknowledging the diversity in how English is used globally, with each version adapting to its local context. A significant factor in the establishment of different standard Englishes, particularly the American variety, is the influence of the United States. The United States has played a major role in shaping global English through its educational system, media, publishing industry, and research contributions. In the past, dictionaries, grammar books, and usage manuals helped norms for an American English. These norms have become so influential that many institutions around the world now debate whether to adopt American English or British English as their standard. The globalization of English is not simply about widespread use, but also about the establishment of various standards based on local norms and historical influences. David Crystal discusses the global reach of English in his work, emphasizing that for a language to be considered global, it must achieve official language status in many countries. This status often reflects its use in governance, law, media, and education. English, in this sense, is not only a language of communication but also a tool of power and influence. Countries that adopt English as a foreign language often do so due to historical reasons, colonization, trade, or political feasibility. Additionally, the global spread of English is supported by commercial, cultural, and technological factors, all of which contribute to its dominance in various regions. Multilingualism is seen as a valuable resource for cognitive development, cultural exchange, and linguistic diversity. While English is not the most spoken language in the world, its dominance is linked to the economic, technological, and cultural power of English speaking countries, particularly the United States. The global spread of English is deeply connected to globalization, which encompasses not only economic factors but also cultural values, ideas, and social norms. English as a global language facilitates communication and knowledge exchange in academic and commercial spheres. However, it also concerns about the impact on other languages and cultures, leading to risks such as language death and marginalization of non-English speakers. As English becomes more entrenched as a global language, it is crucial to consider its implications. While it offers benefits such as facilitating global communication and academic collaboration, it also presents challenges related to linguistic diversity and equity. The risk of linguistic elitism and extinction of minority languages must be acknowledged. In studying English as a global language, it is important to explore not only its widespread use but also the ways in which it interacts with other languages and cultures and the social, political, and economic dynamics that shape its spread.